didn't expect to see against Rios. Not that Rios is a world beater, but do you think that Teddy Atlas could maybe close the gap a little bit, so to speak, with Pacquiao and Bradley?
Yeah, quite possibly. Rios, didn't look good at all. Bradley looked absolutely tremendous. But I do give Bradley credit. I don't think Rios is an easy day at the office for anybody in any shape. The guy's all heart, keeps coming forward. He just took a ton of punches in that fight. Credit to Bradley. He looks better than he's looked in a long time. It might be more competitive. It's just not a matchup that excites me. Like the first two fights weren't that great. You know what I mean? It wasn't great to watch the first two times, really.
No, I totally agree. I don't know that
it's going to be the third time. And the dark horse is another fight with Martinez. I'd love to see them both do it one more time and ride off into the sunset. I think that would be great.
All right. Hey, well, you mentioned needing to get out of here at 10, so I'm only going to hold you up for just another question or two if we have time for it. Really, the big one, on December 5th, we have Peter Quillin and Danny Jacobs coming up for the WBA middleweight championship, and that'll be at Barclays in Brooklyn. We don't have to get into winners, tonight, but what's your thoughts or your anticipation? What are you looking for? What questions are you looking for to get solved in that matchup?
Quillin and Jacobs, okay. Quillin, he looks like a very good fighter. I like him a lot. Jacobs, I think, he came back from cancer. He was almost dead at one point. He got knocked out before that. He didn't look great against Mora the last time out. He got knocked down hard against Sergio Mora. And I can't name another time I saw Mora hurt, let alone really smoke somebody, but even really hurt somebody. I don't think that bodes well for him in a fight against Quillin. You see Quillin has good power, he has good speed, he's solid all around. I don't see him holding up.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's great that they made this fight. Personally, I don't think a lot of the black fighters...
Yeah, it's a good fight.
Yeah, personally, I don't think a lot of the black fighters at the lower weights, I don't feel like a lot of them are facing one another. I think they're trying to constantly go to this, playing the slick boxer versus the Mexican or the Puerto Rican fighter. And so for a change, I'm just glad, even with Thurman and Porter coming up, it's good to see some slicker fighters, if you want to use that description, going at one another more so than kind of trying to play these, like I said, the matchup against the hard-headed or the determined Mexican fighter, slower Mexican fighter versus, a slicker, quicker black fighter. So from that perspective, I'm just glad to see two guys kind of at the top of their game. I do have more questions going into this one about more questions for Jacobs than I do Quillin. I'm actually becoming more and more a fan of Quillin. It's taken me a while to kind of get on his bandwagon, but to get you off of here real quick, what's your thoughts? The other name that I mentioned to you was Andre Ward relinquished his what was he at, super middleweight? I think he let go of his super.
Yeah, he was at 168.
He was at 168. He has opted to move up to light heavyweight, going up to 175, and has entered into a 3-fight deal with HBO that should culminate in a showdown with Sergey Kovalev in the fall of 2016. Barring injury would be my caveat there. What's your thoughts on him going up and trying to make that happen and really kind of trying to add to his career as a guy that, the last 2 or 3 years he's really been inactive?
Yeah, that's the first thing I was going to say is I just want the guy to fight somebody. I don't care what size the guy is he fights at this point. I feel for him. I know he's had a lot of promotional issues, and his career is kind of passing him by. He's the guy's the first or second best fighter in the world, pound for pound, probably by most people's standards, and he's fought 2 or 3 times in 3 years. That's terrible. So he's moving up. It's really a money move. I don't think there's many great fights for him at 168. There's a lot of good fights for him at 175. I think he'll be fine. I think when you look at the history of smaller guys who were able to move up, he's not a guy who started out super small and he keeps having to move up because he can't make weight anymore. It's a calculated move. He's a high skill guy, and those skills will carry him. He's not a guy who takes a lot of contact. When you saw Arturo Gatti having to move up in weight, he couldn't do it because he got hit so much, and he was still a small guy who just couldn't make weight lower. Ward's not that kind of guy. We've seen Manny move way up past where he should have. Possibly Floyd. There were some reports after Floyd retired that he was actually way heavier than anybody ever knew, that he was entering the ring over 160, even though he's always been thought to be small. I don't know if that's true. He's thought to be a small guy who fought above his weight. His skill was able to carry him. There's lots of guys who can do it. Even Sergio Martinez was fighting above his weight. These high skill guys are usually fine. He's not a powered guy as it is. He's a really, really good boxer, and I think he'll take that with him just fine at 175. I don't see it changing anything for him.
Okay. All right. Hey, man, it's always great to speak with you. I always appreciate your input and your thoughts and takes on some of these fights. And, I'm glad that we could get you back on before Cotto and Canelo. Maybe you can make it back for Quillen and Jacobs. I don't want to even speak on it. Brandon, you got any question before he gets out of here?
Nah, I'm just glad to hear his insight. I enjoyed what he had to say, and hopefully I can get on here with him again and speak about some of these fights after they've taken place.
All right, thanks a lot, James.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'll probably promote you a little bit after we get off of here. Your Twitter handle is @BoxingGenius. There's no underscore or anything in there, is it?
Right. No underscore. Genius with a J, not a G.
Got you. So, hey, man, thanks for your time and enjoy the fight this weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me on. It was fun as always coming on. I like your show, and thanks for having me again.
All right, take care, man.
Take care.
All right, so we just heard from @BoxingGenius. That's BoxingJ, as in Jeffrey, ENIUS. That was kind of all the boxing that we had, but I did have two final points to get through. We were going to get through in the intro, but he was pressed for time tonight, so I had to fit him in. Two exciting things to talk about, actually, since we're coming off of combat sports and fighting. I didn't see it live. I don't know if you did, B, but Ronda Rousey and Holly Holm, right?
Holly Holm, yep.
Out of New Mexico, Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm trying to put together an article right now on a different angle of that fight than everything that's already been out there for the week. But before you get into it, was this the female that some people had warned her not to fight, or was there another female?
Not at all. I think that the general census was that this was a mismatch. Holm wasn't. I don't even think Holm had the respect from a lot of people on the UFC side. She was ranked number 7, so even though she was undefeated and she had all the fights, and it's like a Floyd deal. You try to sell the fight and you say, oh well, this woman has all this experience and all this talent.
19-time boxing
female, 47 professional boxing fights, but we see
kickboxing champ. Yeah,
we see what all those other people that had all those credentials had done when they got in there against Ronda. When I actually watched the fight, I'm not really sure what took place. I don't know if it was the out of ring, her and the Travis Brown relationship, with him being he's under investigation with the UFC for domestic violence charge against his now ex-wife, I believe. But when him and Ronda were supposedly seeing each other, he was still technically married. I don't know if that stuff started getting to her. She signed the almost $10 million endorsement deal prior to the fight. She started talking that I'm gonna take a long break from this. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what was in her head or in her mind going into that fight, but I felt like when she exploded at the weigh-in like she did, I felt like that was all of the energy that she should have exerted in the fight. She just let all of it out early in the weigh-in when she did all that. You're fake, you're this, you're that, and I don't know. And almost it looked like she'd almost gotten bored with what made her the most elite female mixed martial artist in the world, which was the judo, which was the arm bar, which was the submissions. And more she seemed like she wanted to get out there and mix it up with people. She knocked the last lady out in whatever 23 seconds or whatever. So I think she really was kind of wanting to not be put in that box as I'm only the judo girl that slams you and breaks your arm. And I would definitely say that wasn't the right. This wasn't the fight to abandon that. You didn't see Randy Couture get in the octagon with James Toney and say, let's touch it up and have a boxing match. He took him, he threw him to the ground and tapped him out in 40 seconds.
But why couldn't she abandon this strategy once she fell behind and it was obvious that it was a bad approach?
I don't...
Because it was moments there where, because Holly moved around the ring a lot.
She threw the one punch and fell and then got and spun around, and Holly was already on the other side of the octagon. Everybody in the building thought that's it. She's just going for a takedown from here on, and she still walked over there and tried to throw punches. I don't know. I've also heard, I've seen some different articles where her mother actually doesn't like her camp. She can't stand her trainer. Yeah, and I'm wondering if that's because they're moving her away from
her bread and butter.
Yes. And if that's the case, then that too could be. But they, everything that I was reading about home, the kickboxing, the boxing, it's all about footwork. It's all about movement. It's all about timing. And Ronda's never been fast. When she walks people down, she's not fast about moving across the ring, or it's just a lot of these people that the mind game, I think they were so upset or they were so mad at her and they wanted to get in there and we're going to get it on. Holly never even engaged in that whole, she's like, I got my game plan, I'm sticking to it. Even when she hit Ronda with a vicious elbow in the first round.
Yeah, that was crucial.
And she walked away.
That's where I thought Rouse, that's where you mentioned when she went to one knee, but when she got caught with that elbow, that's where I would have thought she would have changed up her game plan and said, let me get back to how I got here.
Yeah. Well, I still think at that point she was still believing that she could exchange with her, but and even in that exchange, she caught Holly it was a glance and it wasn't clean, but I think in her mind she was thinking, I'm getting there, I'm getting there. But in the second round, when she threw the punch and fell off balance and had actually used the cage so she didn't fall on her side, and then turned around and Holly was across the ring bouncing, and I'm just like, at that point, you can't exchange with this woman. It's funny because I've always said that her judo is next level female. Nobody in the female game today can deal with. You could almost argue perhaps that Holly's boxing is next level when you compare it to the other. So, some of the different, Miesha Tate, Kat Zingano, the Marine, I can't think of her name. It's a few women out there that they're saying who should go next. And we were speaking about boxing and some of the rematches that you're not interested in. I don't know how interested you are in seeing that fight again from a standpoint of how competitive the first one was.
Well, that's what I was going to mention to you, because likening it to boxing, I really felt like this was kind of Sugar Shane Mosley versus Winky Wright, or maybe even to a lesser degree, Vernon Forrest. I just don't feel like Ronda really matches up well with her. And when I actually got a chance to watch the fight, I was shocked that they did engage as many times as they did, and Holly still got out of that. So to that right there, and then the movement and her height advantage, her ring generalship and everything, I'm just not so sure that Ronda just really matches up well with her at all. And to your point, I just I mean, she's already been suspended for 60 days with this medical thing, which seems a little out of place to me. That could be extended to 180 days.